everybody, it's Wanda Baader here from Strategize Your Success, and together with my co-host Cynthia Bazin, we are Hot Tips for Biz. Today we'd like to welcome you to the show, and we have a special guest expert for you. We have Tish Times from Higher Times Coaching and Training, and she's going to be speaking to us today about networking. And Tish is an expert in this, so you're really going to get some dynamite tips. And along with Tish, we also have our co-host today, who is Liz Stinselli, and Liz is from Stinselli Advisors. Welcome, everybody.
Hi, Wanda.
Hello.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and have Cynthia start us out with this discussion. And Cynthia, take it away.
All right. Welcome, everybody, again to Hot Tips for Biz. We're thrilled for you to be here watching it live or watching the replay, and we are thrilled to have Tish Times with us, our networking expert. So, Tish, I know you've got some great talking points to discuss with us today. So why don't we jump right off into one of the talking points. Why should we have a networking plan?
Well, Cynthia and Wanda, first of all, thanks for having me, and Liz, it's great to see everybody. It is important because I think for many years, most entrepreneurs have just kind of walked into an event, so, kind of let's see what happens, let's see how many people that I meet, and then at the end of the month, the end of the quarter, the end of the year, you don't see true results from that networking effort in your bank account, which is where you want to see it as a business person. And so creating a plan helps you to be focused on what you're trying to attain, making sure that you can control how much you're going to have to do afterwards, as well as it gives you the best possible position to be more successful. Because if I plan, I know exactly what I need to do to get there, but if I don't plan, who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? It makes all the difference in the world.
Awesome. And you know what, Tish, before we get moving forward on that, tell us a little bit about your background. Give us a little taste of, your experience and how you got to, owning your own business and doing this for a career.
Well, I started, Cynthia, many years ago in the staffing industry. So I always say I've been in the connection business for a long time, for 20 plus years. Because I did staffing for so many years, I found it very easy and very enjoyable to help connect people with their ideal position, to help companies to be connected with the people who help them to move to the next level. So it was a pretty seamless transition to go from staffing into coaching. I did start with career coaching when I started my business, and did that for about maybe a year and a half, and people started to ask me, how are you building your business so quickly? What are you doing that's really causing you? We saw you start your business and you have kind of us what's going on. And I began to share with them that it was online and offline networking that really caused my business to grow, and the strategies that I'm sharing with you today are the same ones that I've used to build my business. So staffing from the very beginning, coaching, and now I really provide networking strategies to help entrepreneurs really take their businesses to the next level, to communicate with confidence and to see great results in their bottom line.
Perfect. All right, we are here today. We're Hot Tips for Biz, here with my co-host Wanda Baader, and our expert today is Tish Times, and our guest host is Liz Stinselli. So we're thrilled to have Tish here. She's from Higher Times Training and Coaching Group, and you can go to her website at tishtimes.com. So Tish's initial point about having a plan, you know what? Networking, I find that so many people just go out there and, just are hoping, for results, and they don't even know who's going to be at the event, whether the ideal client's going to be there. Liz, let me jump to you. I'm thrilled to have Tish here to discuss the subject about networking, because I find so many people, say, networking isn't effective. I didn't get anything out of it. How excited are you to have Tish here today, Liz?
I am very excited to be on here with Tish, and I think Cynthia invited me on this one specifically because I do great at networking online, but networking in person is a struggle, and I know so many people who struggle with this same thing. We're not quite sure, who we want to meet, how to start the conversation, how we should follow up after the networking event. So I'm really looking forward to hearing everything Tish has to share with us.
Awesome. Wanda, what are your thoughts about having Tish on today about having a plan?
Well, I know Tish, and Tish always has great information to share no matter what she's teaching. And networking is definitely something that she knows. She's got like an MBA in networking, let me tell you.
All right, that's great. All right, so Tish, we got to have a plan. Start us off. You talk about a pre-game routine. Walk us through that.
Well, when I talk about pre-game routine, I love the 4 Ps, actually the 5 Ps. Proper preparation prevents poor performance. So being prepared helps you, as I said earlier, to be in the best position for success. So things like you mentioned earlier, Cynthia, researching, finding out who is going to be at the event. If you're like me, I go to many networking events, and I mean, these aren't things I'm just kind of pulling out of the air. These are things that I've obviously researched, but they're also things I've experienced. I've gone to an event where everyone in the room was retired and no one was spending money on anything that I offered, and I'm stuck in a room for an hour and a half, 2 hours with people who are never going to be my ideal clients. They don't know anyone else who would be my ideal clients, and it really was a waste of my time. And so knowing who's going to be there is super important. And people ask, well, how am I supposed to know that? Maybe you won't know. However, if you're doing some of your, what I call your recon, your social media recon, your telephone recon, you're going to know at least some of this information. If it's a national structured networking environment, like some of the bigger names that you probably are aware of, you can contact the company directly or contact the organization, the event organizer, and ask them, who do you expect to be in the room? What types of people generally attend these types of events? And then you at least have an idea of, are the people you're going to be networking with people that you would automatically be picking up the phone and calling anywhere? Are these people who you can add value to them and they can add value to you? Some of the things that are not quite as, we think about these types of things, the researching, the social media things, but what about your mindset before you go into an event? Are you seeing yourself being successful? Do you find yourself walking into the event and having that internal dialogue saying, this is such a waste of time. Why am I doing this again? It never works. Or are you setting yourself up for success by what you're saying to yourself before you enter that event? Are you seeing yourself being able to answer or to ask questions that are going to cause people to want to know more about you? Are you seeing yourself being able to have these interactive conversations that cause people to be intrigued about you as an individual and as your business? So, I mean, there is some pre-work that we have to do both on the practical side as well as, on the mental and emotional side, so that when we walk into an event, we are fully prepared both with who we're going to meet, but also with what kind of success we are expecting.
Wow, you know what? I know the audience right now is going, you know what? I haven't done that. You know what? Someone told me to come to this event and I didn't look up anything. I didn't research. I just took the word of somebody. So the word research came to, obviously is sticking out in my head. But really, when you kind of said the pre-game attitude, this statement of what you put your mind to is where you're going to put action to. So you really, if you prepare ahead of time, you're going to be so much more successful going into the event. Wanda, what are your thoughts on what Tish just had to say about her pre-game regimen, what we should all do?
Well, it's if you're not feeling well, for instance, you're not going to want to go and put forth your best efforts. So it's little things like that you do have to think about. It's like, I'm not really having a great day, or my mindset's not there because I've got something else going on, in the business, and can't really commit to this wholeheartedly, because I wouldn't think that you'd want to go to an event without putting your best foot forward, because you never know when you're going to meet somebody that can really change your business that day. And you don't want to come across as the person that you're not really. Am I right on that,
right.
Tim?
What do you think about that, Tish, what Wanda just had to say about how you're feeling and, before you go to an event?
I was reminded of something that happened to me a couple years ago now, that, when we're preparing to go to an event, sometimes you're right, you're not in the right mindset, sometimes you don't feel up to it. And to be really honest with you, those might be the days when you say, This may not be the best day for me to go if I can't put my best foot forward. And then there may be those times when you just have to suck it up and really, get out there, because you do have to meet that specific person. But I'll tell you what happened to me not too long ago. I was meeting with an individual. Many of you all know I just recently moved to Arizona a little over a year ago. And not knowing the area very well, I remember telling someone we were going to meet for a meeting, and she specifically says to me, this is very casual, feel free to wear jeans or something like that, jeans, t-shirt, we're just going to be the two of us. Well, I had no idea that the address she gave me was for this high-rise, big, downtown building where all these high-powered executives' office. And so I'm walking in there and I'm going, oh my God, I wish I would have been better prepared. Again, this is stuff, I teach this because I've learned it. And so with structured networking, we automatically think, I always want you to think about unstructured networking, those times when you're just going to meet with another person, not knowing that you might have an opportunity to meet with someone else. You might have an opportunity to have an elevator ride with that person you've been trying to get an appointment with. So I say you always put your best foot forward, whether it be the way you're looking, your appearance, your smile, your attitude, because you are either attracting or repelling all the time. And so all of those things do matter, regardless of what you're doing, if you're going to a full-blown event or you're just going to meet another colleague, because you're always networking.
Excellent, excellent. Liz, let me ask you a question. Have you ever gone to a networking event that just totally was not the ideal clients there that you wanted to see? It was totally something different?
I have on many occasions, but I have yet to go to one that I haven't ended up meeting some fantastic person. They may not be a possible client, but they're a great person to connect with, to keep in touch with. You never know when they might know someone. They may come across someone in their line of business that may be a perfect client down the road. So I've yet to walk away thinking that was a complete waste of time.
Mm-hmm. Great, great. And as far as the research goes, obviously calling the organization, but what I find is just talking with people that are in your inner circle and finding out, hey, what are the best places that you've gone to, and just really focusing in on people that have gone to a different events. There, I think your best resource, at least to give you some inside scoop on how these different events are. So again, we are here talking to networking expert Tish Times of Higher Times Training and Coaching Group. Her website, you definitely want to go to it. It's tishtimes.com. She's got a lot going on her website. She is one busy lady, but she does it effectively, let me tell you. So we're really excited to have you here, Tish. All right. So we are now at the networking event, okay? And what I wanted for you to explain is about that first 5 seconds. When you're going in and you're going to be introducing yourself to someone, how important is that first 5 seconds?
It is the most important time of any, relationship, because we tend to say that this is all about business. It's not emotional. Don't take it personally. Well, I'm going to challenge that thought process, because many people may think that, but I will say everything we do is emotional, meaning we find ourselves either really engaged by someone and we like them, right? We very seldom meet someone that's like, well, I didn't like them, but I would do business with them. Generally, especially as women doing business, we like someone or we don't like someone. We feel like we'd want to have a cup of coffee with this person to get to know more, or we wouldn't. And so in that first 5 seconds, it's so crucial that our engagement, and I call it your engagement statement, that first conversation, that first interaction that you have, is powerful enough to where people want to know more. All we want them to be able to say is, tell me more. How much, how can I hear more about that? Tell me a little bit more about what you do. It's not going to be the marriage proposal, of course, but it's going to be the time when you're able to engage them enough that they want to stand there a little bit longer, or they want to take that next step with you. It's very, very important time.
Tish, I hope that you can address this, because there's so many people that are clients of mine that just absolutely are fearful of networking because they don't know how to start the conversation. So right. Within that first 5 seconds, can you give some really smart tips on what do you do? You're approaching someone, for people that just are not into the networking thing. You're going up to a stranger. They look approachable, but I have no idea what to say.
Well, a part of the preparation that I also teach is being armed with an arsenal of questions, not something you're going to pull out of your purse and read, in front of the person, but you get yourself familiar enough with these prep work questions to where you know some of the things that you should be saying in advance. But in all honesty, if you're going to introduce yourself and introduce your business, you want to make sure that you tell them about the solution you provide, not all of the benefits. People don't buy benefits, they buy solutions. And so in other words, if I were going to tell someone what I do, I wouldn't say, my name is Tish and I have this great program, and in this program you're going to get this and that, and you're going to be able to do all these wonderful things. Nobody cares about that. But if I tell them I can help you make more money with your networking, generally people go, really? I'd like to know more about that. Tell me how you do that. And so you just want to engage them enough to where they're now intrigued to want to know more. But, I mean, for the average person who is a little more introverted, myself being included, believe it or not, I arm myself with questions that I have memorized, not to the point where it sounds like a robot, but enough to where I know where I'm going to go. If this question if they talk about this, I can go this direction. I can go this different direction. So being prepared really does help kind of alleviate some of those jitters that happen when you first meet a stranger, someone you're not comfortable talking to.
Liz, I know you have something to say to Tish about networking, about those initial conversations. Anything that is a little bit uncomfortable, or something you'd like to ask Tish about that first initial meeting with somebody? It's
funny because you can be walking into the work event, and there's other people walking in, and you can easily start a conversation. Are you attending this? And there's no stress, there's no pressure, because they're not really your target of who you're wanting to meet. It's so easy. But when you get in that room and you see those 2 or 3 people you've identified as who you really want to meet, first of all, they're usually the same 2 or 3 people that everyone wants to meet.
Right.
So how do you get in there, and how do you get their attention long enough to even get to ask them a question?
Well, I would say, first of all, it does depend, because if everyone is trying to get anyone's attention, they're going to be on their guard. You know what I mean? They're already going to be looking for, what do you want from me? And so some of that pre-work might also include introducing yourself in advance and maybe sharing something of value in advance. So now when you walk in, it's not, hi, my name is, it's, you know what, I was the one who sent you that great article based on something that I read about you, da-da-da-da, and now it's an actual conversation instead of an introduction. And so, and I wish we had so much more time, because that research piece can be so crucial to making the difference between, like I said, an introduction or a conversation. And then sometimes it is maybe recognizing the fact that that person is already on their guard, and you walking up to them in that room may not necessarily be the right time. Maybe you come in early, or you stay a little bit behind, so that they're not, getting bombarded with a bunch of people around them, because now they're not going to be as open to a conversation as they would otherwise.
I absolutely love that idea about sending something out, doing something ahead of time, so that then you do have something to say when you approach them, and they're kind of already familiar with who you are. They've seen your name or your face before. So
right.
Great tip.
Thank you.
And I kind of like, you're just attaching a personal conversation. You know what I mean? You're just getting the conversation going. It's a compliment to them that you're speaking with. So I like that. And Liz, great points. Wanda, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, Tish, what would you recommend? When you say research somebody, obviously social media is probably a great way to research and find out information about an individual before a networking event. What's some other maybe things that people might not think of right off the bat, ways that they can find out more about somebody without being stalkish?
Stalking is good, Wanda. It's just, you got to do it right. I mean, I think you mentioned it, Cynthia. I mean, some of the best ways is finding out what circles they kind of travel in, and talking to some of the people that you may have some common connections with. The old-fashioned way, before we had Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter and all that, we looked up articles on people, or we, went to the newspaper and found out if they had anything written about them. Google that person and find out what all is going on outside of only that social media. I feel that people are probably you're going to see the most about them professionally on LinkedIn, probably even more so than some of the others. But I definitely believe that some of the old school ways of doing things really still work.
A little bit different than what this question is, but I'm really intrigued by this, is that a lot of people, including myself, you go to networking events and there's a lot of the same people. Like if you go to, say, a women's group and you go there consistently, the same people are there over and over. Would you suggest spreading yourself out a little bit more so you can meet more people, or do you think that consistency in going to one group is important? Or try to do both. But you know what? Our time is valuable, and a lot of people say, including myself, my gosh, you know what? Networking does take time. Travel time, the time you're there, that sort of thing. So what are your thoughts on that as far as, do you go to the same group over and over so people get that like, trust, and respect factor? Or do you try to get to know more people and get yourself as out there as you can to different groups?
So I'm going to say yes, plus one. Let me explain. I say yes. I think that it's important that you pick one or two organizations that you are very consistent with, where people do see your face frequently, they do begin to trust you, and they understand what you do well enough to refer your business out, right? And then in addition, I say we get out of our comfort zone, because as much as I love those consistent organizations, sometimes they become a comfort zone for us, and we're not interested in going to those other, organizations or networking events, because now we are the new person and we're a little more hesitant to meet new people. And I say elevate them as well, because sometimes we also network in our own social circles, meaning people who make money similar to us, people who do similar work to us, and we're not really comfortable stepping up into those meetings that are people we consider to be quote unquote out of our league. And then to take it a step further, Cynthia, is if you're in those consistent groups, that's a great way for you to find those people that you want to meet anyway. I would send them a personal invitation and say, there's this great group of women or great group of people that I would love for you to meet. They would benefit greatly from what you bring to the table. Would you be my guest today? And so now not only are you being a benefit to the group, you're making them feel like $1 million, and you're making them a part of your circle, and now you're giving them, or they're giving you an opportunity for you to share with them what you provide as well. So it's a win-win across the board when you do that.
And isn't that really important, really, to be that person that's not only just introducing yourself and letting people know what you provide, but also helping one another? Because if you refer people back and forth, aren't they more likely to think of you down the road if you're someone who's you're giving, so hopefully you'll be receiving down the road? Right, absolutely. All right, Wanda, anything having to do with this topic that we've been talking about?
I can relate to everything that's been going on in the conversation, because I've been networking in my town for about 17 years. And, when you network that long, you have a tendency to see the same people over and over again. But I believe it does play in your favor, because people will think of you. Because, it's like they see you, whether they see you in person or whether they see you online, posting and putting out information that's valuable. They're going to think of you as an expert in whatever you do.
Awesome. All right. To revisit, we are with Tish Times, our networking expert, tishtimes.com. We're thrilled to have her today. She's giving us some really smart tips for us to get out there and not just network, but network for success. And she really is about building confidence in people in networking. Sometimes it can be so fearful, but we've got our expert here to help us move along with that. We've only got about 5 minutes left, so we're going to move and groove on to the next topic. But we've already kind of touched on it, but the emotional part of networking, Tish, just, it's more than just giving the business card, right? It's about developing relationships. Is that what the emotional side of it is part?
Well, when I think about it, and when I teach about the emotional side of networking, I really want you to think about what you bring to the table. Think about it this way. If I have something that I know is going to be serving for your business, if it's going to be a blessing for you as an individual, if it's going to help you to do what you do but only better, I have a responsibility to tell you about it, right? And so, again, it is about building relationships. It's about connecting on a deeper level, but with a pure motive, with a sincere desire to be of assistance. I mean, there are several people, I've been tremendously fortunate and blessed that when I do engage with people in the work that I do, people do sometimes say, yes, I need you, or I want to do business with you. But at the same time, even if they don't, and I am able to plant a seed that helps them to get to the next place, I am so satisfied with that. I am completely satisfied with that because it comes from a sincere place. I feel like I have an obligation to provide something that's going to be helpful to someone else. And so it is emotional. It is for me, we say instead of doing sales calls, we do serve calls in my company. And so if I can serve someone from a true place in my, from the depths of my heart, then I know I'm doing well, and I know that I'm planting seeds that will eventually come back. Whether from that person or not, they're always going to be, a harvest is going to come forth in the business.
Liz, I don't know if this resonates with you. I know we talk a lot about, providing value and really understanding our value, to others. What are your thoughts on that, just getting really clear on what value you bring to others, and then that's sincere to who you're talking with?
It's really hard to narrow down what value you can bring to them. Now, when Tish said earlier, tell them about the solution you can provide. I wrote that down because I think if we can really get specific on that solution, we'll be clear on what value we can provide. But it seems to be big and nebulous when it's like, well, I could do this, I could do that, I could do this for you or that for you. Mm-hmm. So it's that getting clear, and I think that, identifying a specific solution is the way to go. Do you agree, Tish?
I absolutely agree. And I know for a fact, and that's one of the first things when I work with a client, the first thing I send to them is a form to help them to come down to what that really is. Because you can't talk about something you don't understand yourself. You know what I mean? And so that is the very first thing, Liz, very important.
All right, while you're on, Tish, let's get to our final point before we get to know a little bit more about what you offer in your business, is that, I talked about how you are so into talking about confidence and networking. So give us just a few quick tips. You know what, if you're not confident right now to go to networking events, how can you get a little bit more confident to walk in there and network for success?
Well, the funny thing is what we just talked about with Liz is the first step, because knowledge breeds confidence, and when I'm sure about what I'm going to provide, what the solution I provide, I can walk in there going, I know what I'm going to talk about. I know what I need to serve to my potential clients, to the people who I'm going to engage with. So that's one of the first things. The second thing is really examine the conversations you're having with yourself. As I mentioned earlier, if you think negative, you're going to project negative, and people are going to be really thrown away from you instead of you drawing them in. And so it's really important for you. I do I am statements, and sometimes I have to do them right before I walk into an event. I am confident. I have a lot to offer. People will recognize exactly what solution I provide as I share it. I'm clear in my business. I say these things to myself all of the time, because the more I say them, the more I believe them, the more I can very clearly articulate them to the people that I'm going to be talking to. So those are just a couple of the things. There's a lot more, and I know we're going to be teaching this, Cynthia, at our Unstoppable Confidence Networking Conference in September, because, in this short period of time, it's really difficult to give you all of what we're able to do to really be a more confident communicator as it pertains to networking, but we will make sure that you have a full toolbox at the event.
Okay, well, while you're on, Tish, why don't you just jump right into that? You can talk about your event for, quick hot second. Tell us where people can find you, learn more about you, work with you.
All right. Well, as I said, the Unstoppable Confidence Networking Conference is September 17th through the 19th in Tempe, Arizona. It is a 3-day action-packed, content-packed event with amazing speakers, myself included as the host, that will really help you to understand what it means to be confident in your communication across the board, from money to the way that you price your products to the way that you present yourself, especially the way you network. And you can go to the letter B, unstoppable.com to get more information and to register for that event. And for anyone who just wants to have a conversation with me and learn more about how we work with people, just go to tishtimes.com.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Tish, for being here today. What I'm going to do right now is turn it over to my co-host, Wanda Baader, to finish us off for today.
Wonderful.
Well, thank you, everybody, for joining us. I'm sure that you got some valuable tips here from Tish, and thank you, Liz, for jumping in and asking some wonderful questions of Tish so that she could share even more with us. I'm Wanda Baader from Strategize Your Success, and along with Cynthia Bazin from SmartChic, we are Hot Tips for Biz. We are here every Monday at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, offering you experts that can help you to grow your business. Well, thank you again, everybody, for being on the show today. It was a great conversation, and I loved learning from you, Tish. And that's a wrap.
Thank you.